Eggs. When people talk about life-changing superfoods, they usually talk about expensive powders and supplements. But sitting right in your fridge is a 70-calorie breakfast food containing the building block your brain needs to preserve your memory and fight off cognitive decline. The building block is choline, a nutrient most people aren't getting enough of. Your body turns choline into acetylcholine, the chemical your brain uses to send the signals behind memory and focus. Low choline is linked to faster mental decline as you age, and the yolk is one of the richest food sources of it on the planet. One yolk also carries lutein and zeaxanthin, two pigments that gather in your eyes and shield them from the kind of damage that creeps in as you get older. The protein you get from eggs is complete, meaning it has all 9 amino acids your body can't make on its own in the amounts you need. As for the old warning that eggs would wreck your cholesterol, for most people, eating them barely moves blood cholesterol at all. That scare cost people decades of one of the best breakfasts out there, steering them toward sugary cereal in the name of health. Sauerkraut and kimchi. Your grandparents were fermenting food long before anybody used the word probiotic, and they were onto something. This stuff is crawling with live bacteria, and that's the part that's good for you. The bacteria are mostly a family called lactobacillus, the same kind already living in your gut. Eating fermented vegetables adds more of those bacteria to the mix, and a gut stocked with lots of different bacteria digests food better, pulls more nutrients out of it, and trains your immune system to tell real threats from harmless ones. Most of your immune system lives in your gut, not your blood, so this is bigger than digestion. Sauerkraut and kimchi also bring fiber those bacteria feed on, plus vitamin C and vitamin K2. Two things to know before you buy them. The salt content runs high, so go easy if you're watching your blood pressure, and the jars sitting on a warm shelf have usually been heated, which kills the live cultures and leaves you with sour cabbage and none of the benefit. Buy the refrigerated kind, where the bacteria are still alive. Liver. The single most nutrient-packed food you can buy costs almost nothing, and the grocery store can barely give it away. Very few people can stand how it smells, let alone how it tastes, but you'll want to eat it anyway for the benefits it offers. One serving of beef liver covers your daily vitamin A, B12, and copper several times over, and it does it for the price of a candy bar. The iron in it is heme iron, the form your body absorbs easily, far better than the iron in spinach or a supplement. It's rich in folate too, which your body uses to build new cells. Nothing else on this list fits this many nutrients into this small a bite. The one real downside to liver, besides the smell, comes from that same vitamin A. It's fat-soluble, so your body stores the extra instead of flushing it out, and too much builds up to a level that can actually harm you. One serving a week is plenty, and if you're pregnant, talk to your doctor first, because high doses of vitamin A can affect a developing baby. Nuts and seeds. Eating a spoonful of peanut butter straight out of the jar feels like a guilty pleasure. But long-term data shows that eating nuts and seeds on a regular basis is one of the strongest defenses you can build against cognitive decline and dementia, and yes, peanuts count. The defense comes from a few things working together: monounsaturated fat, vitamin E, magnesium, and in walnuts, a plant form of the same omega-3 fat found in fish. Together, they lower inflammation in the brain and keep blood flowing to it, which is what protects thinking and memory as you get older. Studies following people for years also tie regular nut eaters to lower rates of heart disease and dying early from any cause. Different nuts bring different strengths. Walnuts for the omega-3s, almonds for vitamin E, pumpkin seeds for magnesium. So mixing them beats picking one. The fat and protein keep you full far past what the calorie count suggests, which is why a small handful holds you over. One rule when you buy peanut butter or trail mix: check the label for added sugar and palm oil. That's where a health food turns back into an unhealthy snack. Avocado. The fat content in an avocado is high enough to make plenty of people avoid it, but the type of monounsaturated fat inside does something far more important than just adding calories. Monounsaturated fat is the same heart-friendly fat in olive oil and nuts. It helps raise your good cholesterol and brings your bad cholesterol down. It also keeps you full long enough that you're not hunting for a snack an hour later. But the bigger job is what it does for everything else on your plate. Some of the most valuable nutrients in vegetables, the ones that protect your eyes, skin, and immune system, only absorb when there's fat around to carry them. Eat your salad dry, and a lot of that goodness passes right through you. Add avocado and your body actually takes it in. One avocado also has more potassium than a banana and a surprising amount of fiber, so it pulls its weight on its own too. As helpful as avocado is, it works exactly the way you'd expect a healthy food to. But one of the most common oils in your kitchen, which we'll get to later, does something quite unexpected. It works on your body like a painkiller. Berries. Tossing a handful of dark berries into your breakfast isn't going to turn you into a genius overnight, but compounds inside many berries cross the blood-brain barrier to protect your memory and delay the physical decline of your cognitive processing speed. Those compounds are anthocyanins, the deep pigments that make blueberries blue and blackberries nearly black. The darker the berry, the more it holds, which is why blueberries get most of the attention and blackberries aren't far behind. The blood-brain barrier is your brain's security gate. It blocks most things from getting through. Anthocyanins are small enough to slip past, and once inside, they fight the inflammation and oxidation that slow your thinking down with age. One long study following thousands of women found that those eating the most blueberries and strawberries kept their memories sharper, holding off normal mental aging by around 2.5 years. Frozen berries work just as well as fresh, since freezing locks the compounds in. For something this sweet, berries raise your blood sugar far less than most fruit, and the fiber in them lowers that spike even more. Fatty fish. Ordering salmon is a standard move for heart health. What gets left out of the conversation is how the fats in marine fish might also help prevent dementia. The fats are omega-3s called EPA and DHA. Your body can barely make them on its own, so you have to eat them. EPA is the one that fights inflammation, the low-grade kind that wears on your heart and the rest of your body as the years add up. DHA is the structural one. Roughly 60% of your brain is fat, and DHA makes up a big share of it. Keep it supplied, and you give your brain the raw material it needs to maintain the cells behind memory and focus. Population studies link people who eat fish regularly to slower mental decline and a lower chance of dementia. On the heart side, they help lower triglycerides, a type of fat in your blood that raises your risk of heart disease when it stays high. You don't need pricey fillets to get there. Sardines and mackerel cost less than salmon, and often carry more omega-3 per bite. Sticking to smaller fish like those also keeps your mercury exposure low, since the big predator fish are where it builds up. Yogurt and kefir. Fermenting milk completely rewires how it behaves inside your stomach. The resulting combination of probiotics and dairy proteins is one of the best ways to dodge type 2 diabetes. Fermenting breaks milk's natural sugar down and fills it with live bacteria, the same gut reinforcements the fermented vegetables earlier deliver, just from a different source carrying different strains. That's why eating a range of fermented foods beats relying on just one. Kefir takes this further than yogurt, packing several times more types of bacteria into every bottle. The diabetes link is well documented. Large reviews covering hundreds of thousands of people tie regular yogurt eaters to a meaningfully lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes. The protein keeps you full, and the calcium supports your bones on top of that. One warning that undoes the whole thing. Most flavored tubs of yogurt are just dessert with a health label, carrying as much sugar as ice cream. Buy it plain and add your own fruit if you want it sweet. Dark leafy greens. Salad gets treated like the thing you order when you're being good and slightly resenting it. But if you ranked every food by how many extra years it tends to buy people, the greens most folks push around their plate would come out near the top. The research here is about as consistent as nutrition research gets. People who eat the most leafy greens live longer and stay mentally sharper than people who eat the least, across study after study. One found that a daily serving of greens gave people the thinking ability of someone 11 years younger. The reasons stack up. Folate for building cells, vitamin K for blood and bones, lutein for the brain and eyes, and natural nitrates that help your blood vessels relax. Of course, there's fiber in there too, feeding the same gut bacteria the fermented foods support. Spinach, kale, chard, and collard greens all qualify, so choose whichever you'll actually eat. Cooked or raw both count, and eat them with a little fat, like some olive oil or the avocado we mentioned earlier, to help you absorb what's actually in them. Extra virgin olive oil. Most cooking oils are only there to keep food from sticking to the pan, but real extra virgin olive oil does something to your body that feels a lot like a mild painkiller. That effect comes from a compound called oleocanthal. It works on the same pathway in your body as ibuprofen, calming inflammation through the same mechanism, though much more gently, so the payoff comes from eating it regularly rather than from a single spoonful. Believe it or not, you can actually feel it working. A good extra virgin oil leaves a peppery sting at the back of your throat, and that sting is the oleocanthal. Serious tasters actually grade olive oil by how many times it makes you cough. The rest of the oil is mostly monounsaturated fat, the heart-healthy kind, which is why olive oil anchors the Mediterranean way of eating that trials keep tying to fewer heart attacks and longer lives. Pay attention to the label and get the kind that says extra virgin. That means the oil was pressed from olives without heat or chemicals, which keeps the oleocanthal and the other good compounds intact. The cheaper, light, or refined stuff has been stripped of most of them, so you're paying for fat and little else. Beets. Beets contain compounds that dilate your blood vessels so effectively that many Olympic athletes drink beet juice right before a race. Those compounds are dietary nitrates. Your body turns them into nitric oxide, a gas that tells the muscle lining your blood vessels to relax and widen. Wider vessels mean blood moves with less resistance, so your blood pressure drops and more oxygen reaches your muscles with every beat. That's the edge the athletes are after, since more oxygen to working legs means they last longer before tiring. For the rest of us who aren't racing anyone, that same effect still pays off. Studies show beet juice can lower blood pressure within a few hours of drinking it. You don't have to juice them either. Roasted beets, pickled beets, even the canned kind carry the nitrates. One trade-off is sugar, since beets run sweeter than most vegetables. So the whole roasted root is a better everyday choice than glass after glass of concentrated juice. One last thing no one warns you about. Beets can turn your pee pink. It's harmless, but pretty memorable the first time. Cruciferous vegetables. A head of broccoli does almost nothing for you whole. Chop it, wait 10 minutes, and it builds a compound that researchers keep tying to lower cancer risk. Whole broccoli keeps two ingredients stored apart, a compound and the enzyme that activates it. Cutting or chewing breaks the walls between them, and they react to form sulforaphane, the compound behind the cancer research. Sulforaphane switches on your body's own defense system, the enzymes that clear out damaged and cancer-causing molecules before they can do harm. Good news for anyone who can't stand raw broccoli. Cooking it's actually fine as long as you do one thing first. Chop it, then let it sit about 10 minutes before it goes near any heat. That gives the enzyme time to turn out the sulforaphane while it's still alive. Once that's done, the sulforaphane is sturdy enough to be steamed, sautéed, or even roasted. The mistake is cooking the second you cut it. Heat kills the enzyme fast, and a dead enzyme never makes the sulforaphane in the first place. Same rule for Brussels sprouts, cabbage, and cauliflower. Chop or halve them, let them sit, then cook them however you like. Just don't boil them like your grandma used to do, because boiled vegetables are how most people learn to hate them. You also get a heavy load of fiber from all of these, which feeds your gut bacteria and slows digestion in ways that help steady your blood sugar. Green tea. Some of the longest living people on Earth drink the same plain green tea every day. It's not for the flavor. The reason is a group of antioxidants called catechins, especially one in particular called EGCG. It's the strongest of them, and the one researchers keep linking to heart and longevity benefits. Antioxidants neutralize free radicals, the unstable molecules that damage your cells and speed up aging, and green tea is packed with them. In long-term studies out of Japan, where green tea is a daily ritual, people who drink it show lower rates of heart disease and live significantly longer than the people who don't. There's another, smaller perk on top of that. Green tea has caffeine, a little less than coffee, paired with an amino acid called L-theanine that smooths the edge off it. So you get calm, alert focus instead of the wired, then crashing feeling coffee can bring. The metabolism boost green tea is touted for is real, but small. So drink it for the antioxidants and the long-term payoff, not as a weight loss plan. Orange vegetables. A famous study once gave smokers the supplement form of what makes carrots orange, and their cancer rates went up. Carrots themselves do the opposite, which is the whole problem with trusting a pill to replace a vegetable. The orange color is beta-carotene, which your body turns into vitamin A, the vitamin behind sharp vision, a working immune system, and healthy skin. In the study, researchers pulled beta-carotene out and gave smokers a high dose of it alone, and lung cancer rates climbed. Eating it in a carrot or other orange vegetable, like sweet potato, squash, or pumpkin, does the opposite, because the whole vegetable delivers beta-carotene alongside fiber and dozens of other compounds that balance each other out. Strip one piece away from the rest and concentrate it into a pill, and it behaves like a different thing inside your body. There's a trick to getting the most out of these. Beta-carotene only absorbs with fat nearby, the same rule from the leafy greens. Eat carrots, squash, or sweet potatoes with a little oil or butter, and your body takes in far more than it would from the plain vegetable. Legumes. The diets across 5 places on Earth where people routinely live past 100 share almost nothing in common except one cheap food eaten nearly every day: beans. The 5 places are called the Blue Zones. Their diets run from Japanese to Greek to Costa Rican, with almost no overlap, except beans show up on the table daily in every one. What people first noticed in the Blue Zones, researchers later put numbers to. In a long study tracking people over 70, legumes turned out to be the single strongest food tied to living longer. Every additional 20 grams of beans a day, about 2 tablespoons, was linked to a 7 to 8% lower risk of dying early, and no other food group came close. The way beans do this comes down to 3 things. The soluble fiber in beans and lentils lowers cholesterol by trapping it in your gut before it reaches your bloodstream, which helps protect your heart. Their slow starch keeps blood sugar steady, guarding against type 2 diabetes. And their resistant starch feeds the gut bacteria that calm inflammation through the rest of your body. Heart disease and diabetes are 2 of the biggest things that cut a life short, and beans work against both at once. They also hand you a real dose of plant protein for almost nothing, since a bag of dried beans costs less than just about anything else worth eating. It's the cheapest food in the entire video, and the research says it may be the one doing the most for your longevity. The most life-changing foods on this list aren't exotic, aren't expensive, and aren't sitting in a supplement aisle. You'll find almost every one of them in the fresh food section of your local grocery store. The only thing standing between you and a longer, healthier life is putting them in your cart.